So this video is probably going to make you react in one of two ways. Are fusion rifles really better than shotguns? The answer coming at the end of the video might surprise you. If this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, blah blah blah, you know the drill. I also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/manofcole. I like to keep my streams very interactive, and I'm always answering questions, talking to chat, and even playing with new people. It's a lot of fun, so stop by if you feel like it. Alright, so are fusion rifles really better than shotguns? Before making this video, I wanted to make sure that I spent a lot of time playing with both weapon types. For this specific experiment, I decided to use the Mindbender's Ambition and the Wizened Rebuke. However, for the most part, you should see the same consistencies across the board for both weapon types, no matter the gun. For this video, I made a list of the things that I noticed while playing with shotguns and fusion rifles, and they both excel in very specific avenues of the game. The first thing that I noticed after playing with both weapons was how different my playstyle was. For example, when I was using a fusion rifle, I noticed that I was being more passive-aggressive. I was more calculated with my movements and my engagements in fights. And I think the main reason for that was because of the charge time that the fusions have. Due to fusions having that slower time to impact, it forced me to take my time and really pick and choose when I wanted to fight and when I needed to reposition myself to be successful. Whereas with a shotgun, my gameplay was much more aggressive and active. I needed my engagements to be up close so that I could use the shotgun's high damage output in the most effective way possible. If I were to use a shotgun the way I used a fusion and vice versa, I was not as successful, and it was incredibly noticeable. Side note on this, really good Crucible players are able to get away with using shotguns in a more passive-aggressive way, mainly because of how well they use their primaries and their positioning. Highly skilled Crucible players can force other players into engagements that are not beneficial to them, which is why good players usually come out on top. Also, with how special ammo works, the only way you can get more of it is when you get a kill. So better players are always paying attention to how much special they have, and only using it in situations in which they know they can get a kill with it, or if they need to get themselves out of a problematic situation. I made two separate videos on how you can get better at PvP and how you can get better at competitive PvP, which I will put in the eye in the top right corner right now, as well as in the description if you're looking for more tips on how to better your gameplay. The second thing I noticed was that maps tended to favor one weapon over the other, most of the time. Maps that tended to have more corners, more cover, and tighter spaces seemed to benefit shotguns more than fusions, whereas more open maps or maps that have longer lines of sight tended to benefit fusion rifles. The main reason people use shotguns is for their effectiveness in up-close engagements. More times than not, shotguns will make quick work of guardians in tight corridors. However, in my experience, shotguns felt great up close, but I was always feeling limited in the other types of engagements I had. Long range and medium range fights just left me feeling so much more inferior to my opponents, and I didn't like that feeling when I was playing. Fusion rifles were able to support me in those engagements on the maps that had longer lines of sight and that were a little more wide open. I was able to use my cover and calculate when I wanted to engage in different fights, which allowed me to play the match much more freely. Again, shotguns were incredibly efficient in up-close engagements, in maps that had tight corridors and lots of corners. Fusion rifles excelled in maps that I was able to move about a little bit more freely. The third thing I noticed while doing this experiment was how drastically different my time spent alive was during matches. Whenever I was using shotguns, I was obviously playing a little more aggressive and actively trying to engage in fights so that I could get quick and easy kills, which in turn led to me dying more because I was spending more time around my enemies than not. When I was using my fusion rifle, I actually found myself staying alive more and moving around the map a little bit more freely. This tends to be more conducive to what my natural playstyle is, which is why I probably am seeing such a big difference in my time spent being alive. I want to reiterate again that top players will be able to do this no matter what loadout they have. More times than not, they will be able to pick and choose what fights they want to engage with, and therefore leading them to more successful outcomes. So at this point in the video, you're probably like, yeah, get on with it. Are fusion rifles really better than shotguns? To which my answer is going to be yes, with an asterisk. Fusion rifles have their lane. Shotguns have their lane. Without giving you a politician's answer of, they're both good, I'm going to say that fusion rifles are better at things than shotguns are. That also means that shotguns are better than fusion rifles at other things as well. It truly is a pick your poison type of scenario. If you're wanting to know which one I prefer to use, Here it is. When I'm not using a sniper as my special weapon, I will more frequently use shotguns than I will fusion rifles. The only reason being is that most of the maps right now in Destiny 2 are conducive to up-close engagements, which is why you are seeing such a high volume of shotguns in the Crucible. So yes, I will more frequently use shotguns than fusion rifles, just like a majority of the rest of the Crucible community. One thing that I wanted to make sure I emphasized in this video was the skill level difference between using a shotgun and a fusion rifle. A fusion rifle has a significantly higher skill ceiling than a shotgun does. Shotguns are relatively straightforward. Run up to enemy, shoot enemy, kill enemy, repeat. With fusions, there are many more things that you have to do to take into account. You need to be aware of the distance in which you are fighting, the duration of the charge time of your fusion rifle, the travel distance and the spread of your fusion rifle shot, making sure all of your spread hits your target, your positioning, and so on. I am not bashing people that use shotguns, and I am not praising people that use fusions. These are just my observations. Overall, I think shotguns are going to be the more effective of the two, and fusion rifles are going to be the most efficient of the two, once you start to become more familiar with them. Which do you think is better? Let me know down below. Another reminder that I stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/manofcoal. Links to all of my socials will be down in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. A positive rating is always appreciated, and as always, we'll see ya.